Yeah, you're insightful, but are you likable? You got jokes, you're the host, stand up. Are you likable?
Hello and welcome to Likable, a show where we discuss stand-up comedy from an entry-level perspective. I am your host, David Stickle, and today I'm joined by Mel Hancock. How are you?
How are you doing, Dave?
Yeah. What's this? So this intro line is already false because you're not an entry-level perspective.
Entry level, I'm old.
Yeah. Very old, some say.
No. Yeah, I'm old, man. I've been around a long time.
You've been around a long
Good
time.
seeing, but it keeps you guys keep me young. You new
Yeah.
comics, so that's the fun part of what I do.
You just drink our blood, and then
That and other things.
yeah. Pause. That's what the kids say. They
Let's
say
not
pause.
Yeah. I know, Dave. I know what pause is.
I just learned it a month ago. That word, pause.
Well, we're up in Rhinebeck. Where are we?
Yeah.
That takes a while to get up this way.
It does take a while. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
This is cool. I would love for you to talk a little bit more about yourself, but for those that don't know, very early in my open mic time, I stumbled upon the Levity live mic, and you were in there. You introduced yourself to me, and you've been extremely helpful for my development so far. But also you showed me the Hot Breath podcast, and that's been super helpful for me.
Oh, this shit.
So you've been awesome so far.
Can I curse on this? This is a Christian.
Oh yeah, say whatever the fuck you want, man. Yeah. This is cool.
All right, yeah. So, man, I've been around. I've been in the game about 18 years. Did some mini tours. About 8 years ago, I hooked up with a guy, Jason Rogers. He created American Me Comedy, which is a production group based out of LA. And once we hooked up, we started producing shows in the Northeast. So we would do Albany and Levity and New York City shows. And through that and networking, I created some relationships with people in the business, in the industry, and afforded me to perform in certain places and to put young guys like you in certain places. And that's kind of like what I like now. Mm-hmm. I'm not a real quote-unquote booker, but I enjoy watching people progress like yourself.
So, thank you.
That's what I do.
So is that meeting this person and then kind of doing some Northeast stuff? Is that how you stumbled upon Levity?
Yeah. Actually, Levity's in my county, but Jason is a persistent promoter. So he reached out to them, and he called me a couple of times. I blew it off. So, this is Jason from California. Yeah, okay. Just like everybody else is Jason from California.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he called me 2 or 3 times, and we got together and we met. He showed me what his objective was, and it kind of resonated with me. It's called American Me for a reason. It's because he wants to a cross section of America. Straight, gay, black, white, trans, whatever. And that really wasn't being represented when he started, I think probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
And so he's Korean, adopted, but his whole story is out of control. He's got a great story.
Yeah.
But that was the premise of his company, American Me and representing everybody in America. And, we just ran around the Northeast and then started going down to Florida, went out to Ohio and did shows, and it was pretty wild, man. But you make good, that's one of the keys that I tell new guys is just 30% of the business is relationships.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole to work with. Just be, a sponge. And, you'll move along. There's no overnight sensations anymore. Even these guys on TikTok, it takes a year or two, which is crazy, but that's where we are now. But, hey, man, it's the, nature of the beast right now.
I feel like I've heard a lot of more famous comics kind of say you got to do your 10 years, and now it seems that there are a couple people that have exploded in 2-3 years, 4 years, which I think is pretty cool. But I think you could also see the difference. You get a lot of just from my like very short time doing comedy, I feel like you learn a lot more like just doing different open mics or just like doing different shitty like bar shows in different rooms, you know, like
and you have depth. You know, you I think we spoke about like having arrows in your quiver to do a show in Rhinebeck as opposed to New York City, the basement or a cellar or somewhere, and or in Ohio. So you know those. One thing I think I told you was I opened for I hosted for Big J Okerson.
yeah,
Not my crowd, but you know I'm a comic. I can make people laugh, but Jay has a certain crowd. You know, it's young, white, maybe more males than anything, and a lot of crowd work. So I'm not going to go out there and do crowd work because he's going to do crowd work. So I'm a more observational comic. I talk about my wife, my kids, my grandkids. You know, my business partner was an Orthodox Jew. You know, so whatever it is. And I think I had 15 minutes hosting. So I'm out there and getting laughs and talking about the big mall, how big it is. It's a mile long, and you got to take a whatever to get to the escalator. And I feel like I'm done. I look up and I got 7.5 minutes to go. And I was like, oh, shit.
yeah,
And it just, I mean, you're a comic. You could think on stage, and it just took me, I don't know, a second to go through my Rolodex of stuff and start pulling stuff out of my quiver that would work. And, it, you know, that's the difference between a guy who makes it on TikTok doing funny stuff in a supermarket and then trying to get on stage and do 15 minutes, 12 minutes,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of production goes into the TikTok thing, but like, yeah, being on stage and trying to, especially because like they can get so popular and like sell out, you know, big places.
That's the business.
Yeah,
Business
but
of it.
I mean, they're really the doing it in front of a phone screen versus doing it in front of a live reaction is
You're
so
not,
different.
but you're not getting, you know, you're not doing, I mean, there's a guy now, I don't want to mention his name, but there's a guy now, he's touring. And it's literally what he did on TikTok. And it just, you're not connecting with audiences. You're not just, I mean, God bless him. He's gonna make some money for another year, and then hopefully he uses that money to buy a business or a house or whatever he wants to do. But long term, you need depth. You need some depth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they really love it, I feel like that's their open mic stage is just going to be in front of hundreds of people,
That's a good point.
which
That's a good
also
point.
kind of sounds brutal, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
But you know what? In front of hundreds of people,
Yeah.
getting paid fairly well.
Oh yeah, that's the nice
know,
part.
so,
Yeah. Yeah, because
that's your open mic, and if they really want to continue and grow, I mean, that exposure will give them access to someone who could help them jump some steps in the process.
Oh, for
You know
sure.
what I mean, so you guys are putting in, 5-10 years, and maybe getting past at a few clubs and going on some tours and making $100,000 a year. This guy's making $100,000 from TikTok right now.
Yeah.
And eventually, if he continues to want to, he may not want to do comedy. Everybody likes that, go in a room and make people laugh. And that's basically what he was doing with TikTok. He was going on his phone, and that's his room, that's the classroom. He was the class clown and made people laugh. And now he's getting paid for it. And after a while, he may not want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I like sucking for free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man, it's brutal. It's a grind, man.
Yeah,
It's a grind.
yeah. It's
But
a
you
haul.
meet some great people and comics.
Yes.
Young comics are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy and I don't mean it negatively, but the youthful optimism.
Yeah.
And I happen to be the guy who sometimes have to bring them down to reality and say, dude, this isn't going to be a 2-week affair. I mean, I know guys who were in comedy 15 months and did a special. I mean, that's a little quick.
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's you burn like 40 to 60 minutes. And
It's not even material at that point.
Yeah,
honest with you.
and also like nobody's watching because
Yeah.
your following
It's
is
just
so
your
small,
buddies
and
and your-
yeah. That's very tough. That's very
Yeah.
tough. I think it's good to get the experience in, but I mean, I probably wouldn't publish it, you know?
Yeah, maybe. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I don't really see what purpose. I mean, the reason you have a special is because it's special.
Mm-hmm.
It's your material that you curate
Yeah.
and you consider it special. So, yeah, 18 months in, if you have, you think you have an hour. I mean, I had a comic tell me he wanted to do 15 minutes and not release it as a special, but to prove that he could, headline feature
Yeah.
7 minutes, and he was done
Wow.
on stage. He was just done. I said, go ahead. And he did 7 minutes. And he's, shit, man, this is hard. It's
Yeah.
hard, man.
Yeah.
'Cause you burn through material. It's a different time, space continuum. Like as we talk, we know it's 15 seconds transpired, and we know that. Get up on stage in front of 400 people. That could go quick, and it could go very, very slowly. So I mean, if you're in a groove, shit, man.
Flies by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a great feeling. You get off, and we're comics, so we'll say, "Oh man, that thing didn't hit," but you just made 385 people laugh their asses off for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And we'll get off and we'll be like, man, that one joke didn't hit.
Yeah.
Relax, man.
It's so
like,
hard to be positive.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's what we want, that
Yeah.
instant gratification. We want that laughter, and we get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good. We do feel good, but, it's just
Yeah.
that one thing then.
It's really tough to kind of enjoy it in the moment. I do feel like comics are very hard on themselves, but they kind of need to be, if you because I feel like meticulousness really proves success in a lot of different industries, not just comedy. I feel like that,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to be hard on ourselves. I think, where I am, my last show, probably one of the better shows I've done. And it's a good show.
Yeah.
It was a good show.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference there, I think, because you're walking away saying like that was a good show, and not like I'm the fucking best.
No, yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think if you always leave room for milk, right? Like room for improvement. All right, cool. Like, that was good. It could be better. Yeah.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah. I think
one thing I want to go back to.
Yeah.
Is so. Just for transparency, I mean, I'm in recovery. I was in AA early, 36 years, haven't had a drink. I don't smoke weed or any drugs or anything.
Congrats, man.
Other than cigars.
That's really hard.
No, I just want to liken comedy for me and for others. Well, there's a lot of people in comedy now that are sober, number one, and it's important to get not a sponsor per se, but somebody you could mentor. Not even mentor. But somebody you counsel, somebody you could counsel with. And I mentioned to that guy who was 18 months in, who wanted to do a special, that maybe, think about, tightening up some material so that, I've seen you perform. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you're counseling with me, you're basically like a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good friend who's, a good friend will tell you, nah, man. I have a friend who told me, that wasn't your best, man. From a show I did. It's like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm just telling you, that was not your best.
Yeah.
So, okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're young and you could find somebody who you could counsel with, it's really important. Who's going to be honest with you and, oh man, that first joke was good. And, I just thought maybe you could tighten up the other one. Nothing. They're not telling you comedy because they don't know comedy for the most part. But just an opinion, or
Yeah, I have I've got Michael Ngumbiade is a very good friend of mine. He's done comedy for 3 years now. I'm just past one. But like even last night, for example, we did this open mic in Brooklyn, and it was a lot of like heavy hitters came out to this open mic, and he I told him after I told him this morning, actually. I was like, yeah, man, it was great to see all those performances. it reminded me of like it made me feel less funny than I usually feel, because of how great others
Yeah,
were.
humbling.
And they also, everybody had more experience, and it was so funny that like as far as the honesty goes, he like listed 4 people that he knew were funnier than me. And then he's like, boop, boop, boop. He's like, these people are funnier than you. You can take the credit for that. But also, like you're fun. You would probably match up, if not funnier than, or like whatever, than the rest. And I was like, oh, that was cool, because he didn't like say like, no, man, you're funny. Like, he was very specific.
But I mean, it's straight shit. It's not, a friend would be honest with you.
And I don't disagree with him for what he said. I really felt like the whole room was probably a lot better than me. Right. It was nice of him to say like, no, you're as funny as a lot of these people.
It was an open mic?
It was an open mic. So what I did was we're trying to find talent everywhere. So I got I manage a bar, and I've been buying from this brewery for 4 or 5 years now. I finally get a hold of somebody down there, and we were able to set up an open mic in Brooklyn last night.
Nice.
And what I did was I did a video inviting people that I knew had connections down there to send the video. I asked them to share it with people they think I should meet. And we made a list of 17 in an hour, and it was awesome.
Nice. That's good.
So
you're doing the work, man.
Yeah. It was a hike. I mean, I asked Michael to host. Hannah Krasnow came, and she's very experienced. I don't know if you know a lot of her backstory, but she's very experienced. So she was able to give us advice on the way down, on the way back, and just a very good input. And then Nick Bailey also came, because Nick Bailey produces shows up here, and I just wanted to have more representation of people that produce shows. Because I think the goal for the people in Brooklyn was to get out of the city, and that's kind of they want to say that they can go up and do the middle of nowhere and still entertain
and make it happen.
Yeah, because I mean, like, my experience, like, doing shows in the city so far is like you have to really grind to get 20 people in the room and to pay attention.
It's
like
a different animal.
Yeah, and for us up here, like, there's not a lot going on, so we can fill a room pretty well, I think.
Fairly easy. I mean, I've done a brewer. I forget what a brewery was, and they didn't help much. But I mean, I had a decent sized mailing list, and my social media presence, and we filled the room.
Yeah.
And I was a little pleasantly surprised. So,
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We had a show at my bar this past Saturday, and as every time I'm hosting something like that, as far as hosting it as the venue, I get super anxious before showtime comes up, because I could have the comics there, I can communicate with everybody, I could have the money ready, I could have all of this, we could have a full game plan, but the people have to show up, and it's a no cover show, so there's no tickets sold ahead of time, and so like it was 7:45 for an 8 o'clock show, and there was like maybe 10 or 15 people there
at the end.
Oh my goodness. But like 8 o'clock shows up, and then just this horde of people came in, and we had 45 for the whole show. And it's a very small venue. So it felt very packed.
That's
in
nice.
there.
That's a good feel.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite for the show.
We'll have you on a show very soon.
Yeah. Too late. I'm too big. That's going to be big time. Yeah.
I don't know if my budget can afford you. We have not talked about that yet.
I'll do it for nothing.
Oh, really? Well, that's
man,
you have famous last words.
No, I don't. No. I'm not. It's not about the money for me, really. Mm-hmm. And I produce my own shows, so I could make, and I'm established enough in like the Hudson Valley. Mm-hmm. If I call a bar and say, listen, a Thursday night, you're slow. I got an organization that wants to, use your room as a fundraiser. Yeah, no problem. I put 50 people in there, and, they eat. My demographic is not, 19 to 27-year-olds. My demographic is 30-year-old growing family couples to 70-year-olds.
Okay.
Disposable income.
Yeah.
My average, so these are the things that you may want to know. And, in the future when your listeners or viewers start producing shows, you want to kind of grab these analytics, like the per person spend. Mm-hmm. So like when you go to produce a show, You could say, listen, I go and I say, listen, my demographics is 35 to 75. Disposable income, so 2-item minimum isn't an issue. And the average per person spend is $31 per person. Multiply that by 50, that's $1,500 on a Thursday night that you weren't going to do. That's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I think the benefit of me having the bar is that when I have a show on a Saturday, I can also compare it to days in which I don't have a
Right.
show on a Saturday,
Yeah.
and I can
Yeah.
show an exact difference, and I can see every number that
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah.
That's what's cool.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
So those are the things that you could
Yeah.
use to your advantage when you're pitching a show. You want to pitch a show.
Definitely,
Stuff like
metrics are very important.
Yeah,
I think, especially when you're trying to, promote
Yeah,
yourself a little
yeah.
bit. No, it was. It's very cool. How long have you been? How long has the Levity mic been around? I know it's not like an officially sanctioned
Yeah,
thing, but
so we started in about 2 years before the pandemic. So what is that? When did the pandemic start?
2020, so 2018.
Yeah, so 2018.
Yeah.
The manager at the time, Matt Tucker, we were talking, and I was doing shows at Levity every 6 to 8 weeks. So
Okay.
it was either a fundraiser or just a producer show, and we were getting 200 to 250.
Which is great for them.
Yeah, on a
I mean,
Thursday night,
Yeah.
on
and
a
that's-
Wednesday night.
Yeah, because places like that, it's like they want to do food,
Yeah.
they want to do drink. That's
Yeah.
like that's how
Yeah.
they make their money. Yeah.
So, and I was telling Mike, Matt, we need more, I guess, energy, younger comics we need. I was burning through comics from Albany and bringing in comics from New York. And it's just like, this is Rockland County, Hudson Valley. We need comics. It was Rhino who had just opened, I believe. And they don't, I'm not going to, there was Rhino.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build something that was more of a lab,
Okay.
that would have professional comics teaching younger comics or helping them along their path. And Matt agreed, and we started doing the open mic every Friday,
Yeah.
and it was banging. And then COVID hit,
Yeah.
and then after COVID, Levity Corporate is just kind of waiting to launch a whole. They have a 20 venues, so they're going to launch an open mic system throughout.
Okay.
So once that happens, things will pick up, bookings will pick up. And,
Yeah.
things will get better,
That's pretty cool.
a lot better, quick. So
So the mic's been very popular as of late. I remember going, at least when I started, and maybe it was because it was the summertime too. It's hard to get people
Yeah.
to do open
Yeah,
mics
just
on a
come
Friday
back,
in the
yeah.
summer.
beach are getting screamed at and listen to other people's dick jokes.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many Holocaust jokes you
Yeah.
can hear.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite mics is like that I remember is like I showed up, and it's a trek down there. So
Yeah,
it's an
man.
hour and a half for me. And this is before Gabe and I started carpooling. I don't know if Gabe knew about the mic back then, but I showed up, and it was just you, Ellie Davis, Ramsey, myself, and maybe Kevin Escobar was there.
Probably, yeah. It was
yeah.
just a few, yeah.
But we all did. It turned into a lab, which was really cool. We all did like
that's kind of like what I want to do.
Yeah. That was very helpful because I credit you a lot for this, but I feel like that helped me transition into doing a lot more clean comedy.
Yeah.
Now I have a hard time cutting out curses, but because I naturally curse.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I mean, your persona is like clean cut. When I first met you, you told me you were a farmer, and just you lean into that and
Yeah.
that whole deal, man.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, once you get it, there are sets or routines and bits that I probably 5 years ago would base a quarter of my set on.
Okay.
So let's say So I'm always the oldest guy at a show.
Okay.
You know, naturally, because usually because I book it, and I'm usually if I'm not, I'm the second oldest guy on the show.
Yeah.
No big deal. But I'm the oldest guy on the show. Blah blah blah. It's always about the prostate, and I talk about the prostate, and I would expand that into you young guys. What the fuck? You don't have that issue. Because you're, blah, blah, my prostate's the size of a Mini Cooper, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take up, a quarter of my set, or, I don't know, a fifth of my set, because it launches me into the young guys. I could go from my old guy prostate to you young guys, and then transition. Now it's a throwaway.
Oh, yeah?
It's literally, the last few times I've done it is just in working the room, talking, and then, and you young guys, you got pissed, and I got a prostate the size of a Mini Cooper, and then I move on.
Okay.
So that's where you got, that once you get, you watch a guy like Ian Bagg, who does, that's his show, crowd work. But I mean, he has setups, but he's leading a guy to the last show I hosted for him actually, and he did a group of Indian engineers. What is it called? I forget, like a nurse, doctor, whatever the hell they call it, nurse, doctor.
Oh, like a physician's assistant or something?
PA.
Okay.
And I forget whatever. And I watched him sew this audience together with just material that clicked for an hour. And I'm like, holy shit, man. It's literally watching a man weave an audience.
Yeah.
Just lines going through everything, and then he's just weaving this, and then all of a sudden he goes back. And then an engineer. And I'm like, what the hell did he just do?
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's amazing to watch. And the reason, he can do that is because he has so much material. He's been on the road for so long, and he's, 30 years,
Yeah,
it's there. That's just his style, too.
Yeah, it's that kind of reminds me of like somebody that's like really good at like just regular conversation, and they can like they can treat like a table of 5 like it's a guy standing next to them, and like, oh, you know Bill, he's an engineer, and just like that kind of thing.
It's a gift.
That's really cool.
That's a talent.
Yeah, I don't know where I really love storytelling, so I can really. I did a story maybe like 2 months ago that was a comedy story, but like at the end, like the final punchline got a pop that was loud enough, and there was so much tension to build up to it. I got a pop that was loud enough, and it was like one of those moments where I was on stage and I was like, oh yeah, this is why I do this.
Yeah.
It was a very cool.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I really want to explore that more, I think. So I'm just trying to. What's tough about stories is that they're very hard to do in 5 minutes.
I was going to say, how long did it take you to take?
Yeah, thankfully it was at a show, and I had practiced it in halves. So, I was able to do the story, and it was about 10 minutes.
Did you get laughs in between, or?
Oh yeah. I mean, it makes sense if I cut it in half too. The whole story was about witnessing a breakup, and I was bartending one night, and a couple walks in, and so like initially I'm just like kind of making fun of the guy, and then it transitioned to a lot of things, but like I did it at several open mics in a 2-week span before I did it at a show. And like the open mics were always like either really crowded or like something was happening. So like the first open mic I went to do it, they only gave us 4 minutes. And then the next one was like down in Eastville, Brooklyn. And it was like, all right, you got 3 minutes. Yep. And I was like, all right, I have to expedite this process. So finally, when I had time to do 10 minutes of it, I was able to like act a little bit and elaborate and like, and then riff a little bit on the thing too. It was
try
very
compressing
cool.
it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
compress until you get some like real nugget.
Yeah.
And then that 10-minute bit might become a 4.5-minute bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if that's when it's tight.
Yeah.
And it just then it fucking thing pops, man.
My most used bit is talking about my first time doing bondage, which is not clean. But yeah.
Oh, fuck am I doing in here?
Oh, come on.
No.
You've heard way worse.
We all do it.
Yeah, we all do it. Yeah. But it was my first time, and
Black people like bondage.
how bad I was at it. And initially the set was 10 minutes long. Now it's I cared about jokes per minute, and I made it a part of another set. So now it's only about 4 minutes and 15 seconds. I think.
Let's lead with the bondage thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Farmer that likes bondage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't like it. That's the premise of the story. Is that a young lady asked me to do it to save a relationship, and so I gave it a good old
Was she
college
up here?
try. Huh?
Was up here?
She doesn't live up here anymore. But yeah, it was around here at the time. Yeah.
You guys got cable up here? What the fuck is going on? You got cable?
Yeah, we got cable.
What?
Yeah. Cubans, man. Yeah. Yeah. Big fan of the communism.
Okay.
She's like, we're all equal now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she's probably trying to get even in white man.
Yeah, probably.
Wait.
No, she wanted me to hit her. That was crazy. I'm not comfortable doing
Ow.
that. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Oh, no, I
You want to
know.
talk about some
No,
personal stuff here, Mel?
Oh, man.
I'm
Yeah.
not comfortable
Yeah, I
hitting
never
a
did
woman.
bother. Yeah, fuck 'em.
Yeah.
Just kidding, ladies.
Yeah.
I have 3 daughters. I'm very aware.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not comfortable doing that in the bedroom, I've learned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, like you said, you gave it the good old
College try. Yeah, I did a lot of internet research beforehand.
Really?
Yeah, which made me even
How to
more
hit
nervous.
her, like gotta.
Well, that and also just like watching it, I was like trying to give her the best experience, and it was not good. It was not good at all.
Bro, you figure me out.
I'm sorry.
That's
No,
pretty fucking wild. Oh, that's cool.
No, I tried, man.
Wow, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. As you can tell from how I act normally, that is not something I usually gear towards.
Yeah, man, I was gonna like, okay.
But
Any animals involved?
no, not yet.
Give it the old college try.
Yeah. Sometimes the sheep needs help pushed through the fence. That's
And saludos, my dick fella. Yeah. But you're a farmer? What kind of farm?
I grew up on a farm, so
Yeah.
we have Angus cows, and then my sister-in-law now has like a bunch of horses. She'll like find sick ones and nurse them back to health,
so like
and and then sell them.
or something.
Yeah. And
Angus
then-
cows, are they for slaughter or for milk?
So what we do is we're not much of farmers in the sense that like we will board for other farmers.
okay.
So if they have a surplus, we have land. So we just we put them on there, and then we feed them and all that kind of stuff. Now myself, I'm not the best farmer, so I don't feed them often, but I do. My dad often used me to like dig holes and stuff like that, like and throw hay bales. Like that was my childhood. But huh?
I'm learning a lot, bro. I thought you were up here growing corn and shit.
No, we grew up with corn when I was a kid, and we eventually just stopped because there was more money in hay. Corn is
Really, that's wild.
Yeah, corn is hard to. What we can do is you can grow. Hay is just really tall grass, right?
Right.
You grow it, cut it down a couple times in a year, in a summer, and then you could sell it to people on Long Island for like 18 times the price.
I know a guy who does that.
Yeah. It's
Ralph with him, actually. He was explaining to me like different types of bales and right.
yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know. He was
a lot of
I'm
different
like,
quality. Yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about, man?
Yeah,
He
it's-
was telling me there's different types and.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's well, we do it mostly because we need agricultural tax exemption for our
For the
property.
property, yeah.
Because it's a lot of land, and in
If you
Rhinebeck.
didn't grow.
Yeah, if we didn't
taxed
grow,
it
we
out,
would be taxed as if we were like a housing community, which is tough because Rhinebeck post 9/11 and post COVID has like really gotten a lot of city influx, and taxes have gone through the roof.
Wow.
So in order to keep this farm that is like over 200 years old, like we have to do a lot of farming shit.
So they're not developing up here, just to switch gears. They're not developing, because I'm driving by here and I see like all this land. I'm like in Rockland, they're just putting up, high density housing. There's probably some sort of law or whatever.
No, they're doing it.
really?
Yeah, it's just hidden with trees. So like even like Hyde Park, which is a very small historical town, when they wanted to put a McDonald's in, they had to bury it with trees essentially.
Wow.
So like there's like weird little rules about that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's here. It's
Really?
yeah. Well, the problem is like they're running into, and this is not super comedy related, but what they're running into is because people can come up from literally anywhere, and there's also a lot of old money in this town. People can buy houses in 6 of them and then Airbnb them or just rent them out. So now millennials and people that are younger cannot afford homes here.
Yeah.
So
It's
and there's
happening all over the
not
country, man.
Yeah, so they're just moving elsewhere. So now they're trying to develop some kind of affordable home, or affordable housing, which is still like $2,500 a month. But like the goal is to keep millennials here, like to rent until we get very old, and that's tough. And plus, not for nothing, but older folk are living longer now.
Yeah.
So like you're not inheriting houses from people anymore.
Like they used to.
Yeah. So there's that.
That's that corporate housing. That's what happened. During the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Corporations like BlackRock and they bought up. They built subdivisions to rent until the pandemic passed, and then they would the price increased of the they built a subdivision of 80, 90 homes, and then for $200,000 a home, knowing that in a year and a half it's going to be $600,000.
Yeah, it's
crazy. It's not a bad little flip.
Oh my goodness! If you have money, it's a great option to do, just because like the housing market is always going to flux, but rent never goes down.
Right.
Yeah, so
nobody's oh well, there we go.
Yeah. It's so I mean it's
decrease.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, man, it's really tough to own a home anywhere. Like up here is tough, but yeah, they are developing a lot around here. That's why a lot of people are trying to protect farms as much as they are, because unfortunately, a lot of town boards or like town zoning boards have become like land developers or realtors.
Yeah.
So what they want is they want to prove that you're not tax exempt, so that you have to pay more taxes or sell, and then when you sell, they buy, and then they turn it
Develop the
into
land, the shopping plazas and high density housing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's going on down in Rockland County.
Yeah, it's very shady, but
capitalism at its best, man. That's what we do. That's
and then
what we do great.
and then people complain like, this isn't the way it used to be. It's like, well, no shit.
Nothing is.
Yeah.
Your grandmother used to make you burgers. Now you can just go to Burger King or Shake Shack and get a burger. I mean,
Yeah. Change is inevitable. It's it will come.
are you what you call it, a conspiracy theorist? Most comics have some sort of conspiracy.
I don't really subscribe to a ton of them. I recently fell down this wormhole that the moon landing wasn't real, which I'm buying a little bit too hard.
I grew up in that era, and I'm like, oh shit, man, we went to the moon.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
It's
right.
kinda good. I mean, maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean, only because I know there's enough shady shit that our government does, and buying, building 90 homes to make money.
So
9/11. I don't know. There are people who died, but it's just, we're not above that. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah. Nixon was president when that happened, right?
With,
the moon landing.
The moon? No.
Who was president?
Johnson or Kennedy? I don't know.
Okay. So like, the thing that turned me on this belief that it was real versus might be fake, is that the president was able to call Armstrong from the White House
And congratulate him,
and talk to him on the phone while they were on the moon, which is insane to me, because we can't figure out 5G phones now, and now we're like 70 years removed or 60 years removed, and it's just like, how did that work? Like, because he's calling from a house phone, or the White House phone. Yeah. And it's like,
Maggie, put me through.
Yeah,
to the moon.
I'm like, where's the cell tower up? Where's the tower up there? Is it on the rocket ship?
I mean, they knew what they would. If they were faking it, they kind of knew what they were doing. And the fact that, we have to disprove something like that is crazy.
It kind of sucks that we can't trust everything that we see or hear anymore. Now in the age of like AI, where it's just like you get a full image or video of somebody doing something, and you're like, is this real?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But I heard somebody say that that's going to force us to communicate directly,
which would be great.
Yeah.
Because,
it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I want to say like this generation coming up is going to be so used to this like deceptive technology that they're going to just not want to be a part of it. I think I'm a millennial, and like I was 18 when the iPhone came out, I think, or like in my my mid-teens when the iPhone came out, and then all of this stuff just started to happen soon.
And it's this amazing technology. It's very new. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. You're in the wheelhouse of like, wait, what? You could take a picture and send it to China in 2 seconds?
Yeah. We were the
then-
guinea pig kids,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So like social media too. I mean,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Facebook came out when
Yeah.
I was in my senior in high school. So, and then when I was graduating college is when the dating apps really took off. So,
Wow.
I missed that a little bit out of college, which I'm very grateful for, because I cannot imagine what my
You'd be tied up
sex
somewhere.
life would
Yeah,
be
you'd
like.
be tied up, beating people up
but thankfully I missed that a little bit. But also it's just like, there's a lot of craziness that comes from this whole generation that only knows how to date from finding somebody
Yeah,
by
that's
swiping
wild.
left or right.
That's wild, man.
Like comedians going up on stage that are like in their early to mid 20s that grew up with like not having to be rejected by a girl in person. I'm like, man, how do you handle an open mic, because you don't work that nerve,
rejection.
Yeah.
That's a good point, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's still a wild
Maybe that's
concept
why
to
they
me.
do it too. They just don't. They're blind to it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, rejection, or like something doesn't land.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, they have no
I don't know.
concept
Yeah,
of.
that's a good point. Wow.
Yeah, it is pretty wild to me.
And then you get a guy who puts out a special in 18 months. That's what happens. It's just wild.
Was he that age? Like mid 20s? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is still pretty wild to me. I want to say I'm going to wait a very long time before.
It's not even that. I mean, you'll know when you'll know. I mean, there are guys who've been 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jessica Kirsten just put out her first special on Hulu.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, she's been in the game 30 years.
I think, well, she's been doing it a very long time. And she's very phenomenal.
Yeah, she's great. She was, when I started, I used to go down to Gotham Comedy Club to do their new talent mic or whatever it was. And she was hosting, and she was there. I think Laurie Summer was the host, and Jessica was there. And I went down a couple times, and a couple weeks later, I get a call. It's Jessica Kirsten. How you doing? Want you to come and do a guest spot at Gotham, tomorrow night. Can you do it? I said, oh shit, man, I'm sorry. I was in South Jersey on vacation that I had just paid thousands of dollars for, and I brought my neighbor and a couple guys down to golf, and it was a whole thing. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm sorry, I'm on vacation. I would love to do it. Blah, 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 blah. She goes, no problem. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Then about 2 months later, she called me again to do a guest spot in Gotham, and I was in Williamsburg, Virginia, with my in-laws, my kids. And I was, oh shit, man, I'm sorry.
That's a tough feeling.
Yeah, and I never, I didn't hear. She never called me back. But I've reached out to her a few times to do shows. Before she really broke, she broke mainly during she's been around forever. She's great. And this is what you guys are up against, man. It's like, she's great.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great comic. She's got 30 years in the game, and she's just now getting some real traction. Hulu special. She's done, made a living, I'm sure. Traveled the world. But that's what What do you guys like? What do young comics want? They just want to be funny in front of 500 people. Yeah, I mean, okay, I get it. That's what the whole TikTok thing is about. Mm-hmm. But if you're gonna grind on the road and make $3,000 a weekend, it's a fucking grind, man.
Yeah.
Nobody's giving that kind of money away.
Yeah. I think my goal is to ultimately just make my full-time living off of being funny in any capacity.
You could do it. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But like, I actually sent this to a couple friends over the weekend, but Mark Norman, who works very hard, he's everywhere, like put out his schedule for like the next 2 months, just like showing tour dates.
Yeah.
And I sent it to my friends and I'm like, look at that schedule. It's like UK to here to there to Alabama to this to that to Canada to, you know, and it's just like this is like in 5 weeks time. Like when do you see? He just had a child, you know, like when do you see your kid? Or
I mean,
like,
you know, I'm sure he's
exhausting.
I mean, where this game is old enough, and you know, people. I'm sure I'm not saying counsels, but he's around other comics who have gone through that. So they probably, you know, I'm not speaking for him, but like, hey, look, man, you know, take 4 weeks and just crank it,
Yeah.
and then you got 4 weeks home with your kid. And, you know, you're secure. You know, he's not making, you know, $800, or, you know.
Yeah. No, he's making a lot of
Right,
money.
but he's making money to, you know, and I'm sure I'm sure he counseled. Whatever. When I say counsel, I just air quotes. You know. It's just whatever you have a good friend or a, you know, whatever relative.
Yeah, I think it's you learn how to from other comedians. You can probably learn how to structure things so that it works out best for you from their experience, which is the whole point of not burning bridges and just listening to other people.
It's the 30% of it where you create relationships and.
It is amazing to me how much some of the younger comics can be abrasive, and I don't experience this a lot personally because like I feel like I'm pretty much off to the side for a lot of stuff. Right. But when I see two comics interact and they just like kind of they either talk shit about each other or you know whatever, and it blows my mind really because it's just like you know you're.
But I think some of it's coming from that point you made about the young comics and. The, you know, technology and not being rejected and not knowing how to interact really socially.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and you know, I don't. I think the silliness of it comes from like maybe like not understanding like how long this is going to be and how long this is going to take, but also just like from a metric standpoint of like. If in this past year I've at least accumulated relationships with over 120 comics. Right. Like I've done that number, and like if this is a 1% is going to take off situation, then I've got a 1.2% chance. 1.2 of those people are going to take off. You know, so. And if the relationship is good, then, you can ask them for...
You're going to be in that orbit.
Yeah. And it's not just to, I don't make friends with these people just to, like, use them because I feel like it might sound like that.
It feels parasitic. It feels like, I'm going to be on their back. But no, I mean, they also need you.
Yeah.
They need a guy who's like, I'll go back to Ian Bagg. And I don't want it to sound like he's using anybody or anything, but he has a guy who's on the road with him a lot, John Wynn.
Okay.
And he's a videographer. He's a good comic. He's a real good comic. And they developed a friendship. And, you could tell, when somebody gets along with each other, they get along with each other. But John does all his videography and all that stuff. And so, it's not parasitic. It's an intermingle,
Yeah. They're codependent on each other. Yeah. Because, I mean, it is a much easier conversation to be like, hey, man, like, can you do me the favor of putting me in the theater show that you're going to do? I'm going to do you the favor of, like, you're not going to have to worry about your social media, your podcast, your video, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I really think that's an important relationship to have. Like the Hot Breath podcast, Joel Byer, right, is the host of that. He just recently in the past few episodes did like 8 shows with Matt Rife. And now Matt Rife just needed somebody to come out and warm. He knew how great Joel was. And they only know that because back in the day, I guess, like they were the only 2 guys doing black rooms, and that is, and they remember that.
No, I'm sure there were other guys doing black rooms.
Well, yeah, black guys doing black rooms.
No, white guys doing black rooms.
Oh, okay.
The only 2 who really clicked.
Yeah.
There are plenty of guys who go in there and think they're going to, hey, nigga, this motherfucker. That's not doing a black room.
Yeah.
It's knowing the culture, knowing the thing. I can't go in. That's what I was saying about Big J's crowd.
Yeah.
You know, I know his crowd. I'm not gonna try and be Big J Okerson.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I know that you know, we're all human, and we all have a brother and a sister that we can make fun of, or an in-law, or you know, somebody who we could, you know,
Yeah.
or a farmer friend who's into bondage.
Yeah.
Some of those. No, but you know, so there were guys already who just washed out. White guys who tried those black rooms and washed out. Joel and Matt know how to, you know the culture.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that comes from like actually caring to be funny to everybody versus like, you know, I like doing black rooms because I'm not good at them.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
different.
And it's very hard for me because
different.
like, you know, I don't, you know, I present a certain way
Yeah.
and like, you know, the goal is for everybody to like me and trust me, you know, but like I can see a lot of comics that might get that experience and then not know how to handle that shitty feeling of bombing and then just being like, oh no, but like my mindset is just like, nah, like that's the room I have to do more now because like I need to be funny there, you know?
Yeah, right, and like you know, a black room is louder than you know.
Yeah.
You know, a suburban white room where everybody's attentively playing. But I mean, they're not being disrespectful. It's like, oh, that motherfucker just, and they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
Guys, you know, that's just stuff you need to know. I mean, I could turn a guy off and he'd be like, they're so disrespectful. And it's not that. They're liking it.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah. Getting
You know,
them to talk actually is a very good thing, you know?
Wow, sounds like we're. Oh, never mind. I'm thinking like, oh, yeah, them, they. You know,
Oh, well, I mean, for me, it's
Yeah, I
them
get
because I'm not one of them. Yeah. I really, the goal is to just try and do as many different, I've been lucky enough to do a couple black rooms so far, and like, I want to do more, but you know, I was in an Asian room one time and I have, like, they're very hard to find and I bombed horribly.
it's
And
hard to make Asians laugh.
yeah, it's
The culture,
so
and
tough.
you know, if you know, you know, not know, but appeal to the culture. You know,
Yeah.
For me, you know, I know everybody has a brother. Like I said, brother, sister,
Mm-hmm.
mother, father, brother. You know, all that stuff. Grandmother, Asian community, grandmothers are sacred. You know, you could paint around the aunties and the uncles. Same thing with Latino families.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, blacks. You know, you got that one uncle who's a little. You know, you got to dress differently around.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. I do well in Latino rooms just because like I have a lot of experience with Latino culture, you know, and like
Well, you like tying them up. And,
yeah, yeah, I dated them for a very long time. yeah. So it's I get you know, I've been yelled at by a tia or two.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least, you know,
Yeah.
but even to say, you know, a tia,
Mm-hmm.
they, oh, what?
Yeah, like,
like, how
oh,
the fuck-
he knows our words.
Yeah, how the fuck?
Yeah.
And then you know, that's relatable.
Uh-huh.
You're not being condescending. You're not being patronizing.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, yeah, her tia said to me this, and you know, you're not gonna use the word 15 times to say, I get, you know, but once
Mm-hmm.
you know, once you know it, you can say it and know that, feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! You know, he knows what he's. You know.
Yeah,
He's really walked that walk.
they pay attention a little bit.
And like Joel is some white, goofy looking guy. I don't mean, you know, negatively, but like he's a white guy, but you know, he's been in that environment. You know, and you need to, you know, those are the things that you need to do. I mean, I go into mainly all white rooms. You know, and it's different for me. You know, but it works.
Yeah, it requires a level of self-awareness, I think.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're just gonna go up there and you're just gonna do your act and not acknowledge like the elephant of the room that like you look different than everybody else, I mean, that's like you know, you're missing a lot of material there.
Yeah, gems, man.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it's okay to laugh at me because I look like this in this environment.
Yeah.
Right. When we leave, you know, and you know, you'll hear comics use, you know, the N word, black comics. In here, don't do it out there, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, it's okay in this environment to talk about this and that's kind of like when I used to do the fundraisers. That's it was everything, and it was during, you know, the elections, and everybody was, you know, everybody was left, right, center, and everything. And I said, look, man, it's cool that we can get together for 2 hours, no matter what the fuck is going on out there.
Yeah.
Laugh, drink, eat, And then, we can go back out to hating each other after we're done. But, in here, let's have a good time for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Let's suspend reality and just, So,
yeah, that's the best part about doing this job is like you can take a little bit of time to just entertain people and and just kind of forget about all that other bullshit. Because I mean, not even if it's just politics, but like sick parents or like all that kind of stuff. Like you're like, I'm gonna distract you for a little bit and you're gonna be entertained.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key, and it is an escape from reality.
Yeah,
like you get like a movie. You could go and watch a movie. You could go watch a comedy show.
Yeah, you get to be where your feet are, which is great.
Yeah,
you hone in on it.
But one of the things that I think is happening that just made me think of that is like, there's comedy shows everywhere, bowling alleys, bars, laundromats and everything. And everybody's a producer and doing shows like that. And I don't know how I feel about it. I guess everybody should try and expand, spread their wings, but there's a lot of shitty shows out there, a lot of shitty comedy shows out there. And I just wonder if, like an area that's experienced 2 shitty comedy shows by, young talent who aren't ready, puts a bad taste in the masses at, let's say this area. They go out and they're like, hey, what the fuck was that? It's just 2 guys talking about dicks and, and Holocaust jokes. And that's not funny. Mm-hmm. They're never going to go to another comedy show.
Yeah, you might lose people.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
Because of, what's, and it's so exposed, right now. Comedy is big, the new rock star.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'll agree with you that can potentially damage the market a lot. Because, you might lose, 30 people and, 2 out of those 30 might have gone to the show the town over,
right,
where you're putting on a show. And, they'll be like, we lost potentially 2 ticket sales because they think this perception of, I think crowd work comedians that like do all their clips online, because I feel like people see crowd work the most on their phones. That's the stuff that kind of goes viral. And like, I've been attending comedy shows that are like at bars or whatever, and people sit down, and because I sit near the front row, because I know how the comedian feels, the first thing those people will say to each other or to me is just like, do you think we're going to get picked on here? Yeah. And it's just like maybe, but like,
that's
like,
always been a thing.
I just think the perception of it is like, this is going to be crowd work,
Yeah. You mean that they're looking forward to it, or?
Well, they love it because they're there.
Yeah.
But like, there's also fear, and then on the other end of the spectrum, there's a guy that goes there hoping he gets picked on.
No, that's what I think more and more is happening.
Yeah, because
you'll hear more. I mean, you'll hear a lot more people scream out. It shows.
Yeah. I noticed that with I went to go see Stavros at the Egg, or no, not at the Egg, at the Beacon, and like, because he's a more well-known like crowd work comic, like I noticed between him and Anthony Jeselnik, like Jeselnik didn't hear a peep other than laughter from the crowd, right? And because he creates that like a, hey, shut the fuck up. Yeah. And then when Stavi was trying to do bits, like people would like yell out like, love you, Stavi, just like randomly when he's trying to build tension. And like, that fucking sucks because he's crafting something and he's trying to create an experience, and because
that's what happens.
Some drunk motherfucker in the crowd is not paying attention and then yells, it ruins what he's trying to build. So that really sucks, I think. But that happens at bar shows a lot. So I mean, he's experienced with that shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you know how to handle it. I mean, if it's a small intimate show, that's what happened in the last show. I did a show at Nanuet Restaurant. 50 people, 47 people, I don't know what it was. Mm-hmm. But as we're setting up the mics and the speakers and stuff, the guy sitting close to the stage area says, I might get up there and do 5 minutes. You better be funny. And I'm like, we're gonna be funny. You want to get up and do 5 minutes? And he goes, no, I'm just kidding. But you guys, And he was that kind of guy, he's just fun,
Mm-hmm.
And Harry Van Ness opened up. My friend Jose, and then Eve, and then myself. And nobody spoke to him. And he didn't really interact.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I went up, I just told him, I said, you can go up and do 5 minutes right now if you fucking want to. And he just was like, oh no, and it just flowed from there. It was nice, and because people at his table, there were 6 people at his table, so I know once I confront this guy, they're gonna have a good time because it's relaxed and everything's chill and you could feel like the tension ease. I don't mean bad tension. I just mean it's just like, oh shit, he's funny. And now, I mean, I did interact with him a lot. I don't really do a lot of crowd work. But he was just right here, from here to the wall, and we would talk, and I would go back and do my set stuff, and then go back to him and say, right, stuff like that, and he just had a good time. He had a blast. His table had a blast. The table around him had a blast. So, and it was a great show. It was a really good show. So,
yeah, crowd work wise, I've got like no experience so far.
Yeah.
I think the most I'll do is like I say friends a lot when I perform. I could call the crowd friends.
Yeah.
I think positive reinforcement. But I'll pick somebody and be like best friend, and then I just keep calling back to that guy. I'm like, you're my best friend. You should do this. I did a show with Elizabeth Becks, and she called me short when she got on the stage because she's like 6'4" or whatever, and she called me short, and then like I had to get off stage, or she got off stage, and I had to introduce Voss, and like as I'm up there, I'm like, dude, you're my best friend. Like she called me short. You didn't stand up for me at all.
That's it.
And it was
that's
like
the connection.
Yeah. It was fun. Hosting is fun. I like hosting.
Yeah, you didn't feel like the guy rejected you.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
When you said it, he's like, "You're my best friend. Why didn't you speak up?"
Yeah.
Yeah. What? But he's not like, get the fuck out. It's a connection. You make that connection, and that's what comics feel. We feel a lot. We feel the room. We feel connections. We feel rejection. We could tell.
Yeah, which is like so it's like almost a detriment when you're like really tired and trying to perform, because I feel like that sense is like a little numb. Yeah.
Or sick or anything.
Yeah. Because you gotta perform.
Go.
Yeah.
So.
But the performance really does lack when you're just like either in a shitty mood or whatever. You're like you're just distracted, and you're not living in the moment as well as you should be. I think.
I don't know if I see as much though. Guys getting fucked up and performing.
Yeah. I mean, I think. What's weird is because like for me it's easy to identify like alcohol when people have consumed a lot of alcohol, but like the drugs, like I don't know, I don't do any drugs, so like I don't know when people are just either in a really good mood or if they're stoned. And like it's hard for me to identify that. I found out recently that some comics that I know have like this like couple pills and alcohol cocktail that they make.
Jeez.
And then like that helps them have like no anxiety or anything like that. But that's kind of a crutch to me, and I'm like, I don't know, I might
everybody's always done it though, I just remember, a guy would have I'm going up. You going up? Yeah. Okay. Have a good show. Boom. Take a shot, and they're like, that's the alcohol's a depressant, so it's just like chills you out. I would take I guess it would be like a quarter of a Valium.
Okay.
I don't drink. So.
Oh wait, you had a really funny story. We accidentally took too much.
No, it wasn't that, man. So I'm not a drug user at all.
Yeah.
And only because drugs work on me so effectively, meaning prescribed drugs. So I never really my history and my brother. I had a brother who passed away from drugs. But I was doing a show in Albany with Jason Rogers from American Me Comedy. And we get up there, and he goes, you're going to have to, headline. Oh, no problem. We had 5 comics. So I said, oh, shit, let me take my pill. But my brother had given me a pill as well. So I had my quarter of Valium and a little piece of whatever my brother gave me. So I broke it in. Well, no, I didn't break it. It was a tiny, tiny pill. So I just took it. 10 minutes later, I was, am I breathing? Am I breathing? Fuck. And then I got real like warm and flush. And I started drinking water. I said, I don't think I could go on, man. I can't fucking, am I fucking breathing? I'm like bugging out, man. So I start walking around the mall. It was Albany Funny Bone.
Okay.
So walking around, I go outside, putting water on my face. I'm drinking water. I drank like 4 bottles of water trying to piss this out. Whatever it is, I don't know how it works. I'm like, I don't know if I can go on. I'm like, fuck. I got real extremely tired, like right before you fall asleep, tired. And Jason came in. He says, you know, you're up next. You're gonna go on. I said, I don't know, man. I don't know. I walk out into the room. The one comic's up. I see the host, and I tell him, yeah, I'm gonna go up, man. But if I'm shit in the bed, just come and get me off the stage and finish up. I mean, that's all. I mean, I had friends who came out to see the show, so so I went up. I don't know, did my set. So I mean, I did my I know I did my set,
Yeah.
but I was still fucked up for. On the way home, we had to stop and get me coffee. I don't drink, regular coffee. I couldn't stay awake, and the next morning I was still fucked up, and it was like an antipsychotic that my brother gave me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Huh.
Fuck. My daughter's a nurse. She said, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you take that?" I thought it was a Valiant. That's what he told me it was. Yeah. So don't do drug, kid.
Yeah. Don't do drugs. That's the message of this story.
Yeah. It was whack. I mean, it could really fuck me up, man. I don't know if I was breathing.
Yeah.
I thought when I was in the green room, I thought about calling the ambulance.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Because
amazing.
I was like nodding. Like, fuck. I had to get up and go put water on my face and go back in there. Still just couldn't shake it.
Wow.
Yeah, scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I bet.
But I do everyone, once a night all the time. I'll take break a Valium in half and then take another half. I told my doctor that. He says, you sure? I don't know if it's doing anything. Mm-hmm. It's like a 0.5, so it's like nothing.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know if it's doing anything. It helps me.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Yeah, I've heard about like beta blockers and stuff like that to like kind of help with anxiety. I haven't taken them. I'm worried about I have addiction in my family, so like I'm worried about going down a path, and so I just avoid it completely.
If you could,
Yeah, but I mean that just causes me to sweat a lot on stage or overthink.
Do you get nervous on stage?
All the time.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
But
You
that's what I appreciate about it is because it's like, I have a job where we care about numbers at the end of the month, so every day matters because it's all of that, and like, I just I deal with a lot of people. I have a lot of stuff going on with my family. What's nice about weight training and what's nice about comedy is that for the 5 or 10 minutes I'm on stage or the hour that I'm in the gym, I'm forced to be where I am standing. I cannot think about anything else. And it sucks when I'm distracted and I'm on stage.
Do you have ADD?
Huh?
Do you have ADD?
Undiagnosed, maybe. I don't know. I can get
a lot of comics.
super focused on
really?
things. Yeah.
Well, that could be something else.
Yeah. I have
like trains? Oh,
no. I have a friend that can probably diagnose me. I'm sure she's tried. But like, I mean, like, I'll be like so focused on driving that like I didn't hear the conversation in the car between the two friends, because I'm just like thinking about like turns and where I gotta go and speed and like all that kind of stuff. But then like, I'll also just like be talking to somebody one-on-one, and like my mind is like connecting puns and like doing all this kind of stuff too. So I don't know what that is, to be honest.
I'm kind of the opposite. I could
Really?
be eating at dinner and listening to this conversation, listening to my wife, listening to this conversation and that conversation, and be all in the loop and know it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot do that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
She's like, "What the fuck?" I said, "Kim."
Yeah.
I just got diagnosed with cancer. It's kind of wild.
Crazy. Yeah, you'd be a great like secret agent.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do have ADD, so I would just disappear. Just something shiny.
Yeah. Which might work on stage,
I don't know.
It's good for crowd work, I think, because you could be in the middle of something and then somebody drops a fork and you hear it,
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's
So,
crazy. That might be autism. I don't know. Or whatever, spectrum, whatever the word is today.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Neurodivergent is the term.
Neurodivergent is
Yeah.
what I am.
That's a lot of people do
I
that.
tell my wife.
Yeah.
She'll tell me, why didn't you do? I asked you to put the dish over here, and it isn't. Man, she's type A, so I said, look, I'm neurodivergent. So she goes, oh, okay.
She's like, I fucking hate this branding. He's using
But
it
I
as
am
an
bad.
excuse.
It's bad, man. I remember one time I was with my oldest daughter. She was still in the house probably, but she was older, 20s. It was when the Giants were in the playoffs one year. And she came over. I think she came over. We were just going to chill, watch the game. And I'm not even a football fan, but, get to spend time with my daughter. And it was beautiful, beautiful day. And we'll watch, put the game on. I go downstairs to change the laundry. By halftime, she comes downstairs and, what the fuck? She's older. She could curse at me. What the fuck are you doing? I was down there painting the Louvre doors. What the fuck are you doing, man? Well, Super Bowl? No? Like, oh, shit, sorry.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. That's not good.
You just get distracted.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's yeah, that's pretty bad. I've never been so distracted to where I start doing chores.
No, all the time.
Yeah.
Even now, I catch myself, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah. You get all your taxes done though, which is great.
Well, if you remember to do them, you got
Yeah.
something else going on.
Yeah,
It's
you burn-
avoidance, a lot of avoidance.
Yeah.
Like I could hear those people out there talking.
Oh yeah, for when that's going on out there, I'm like so focused on focusing on you right now because I don't want to hear that, and it's like it's a small studio,
order.
like you can
Yeah,
hear
but I
everything.
can hear it.
Yeah. That's why like the cans help me when I've got
I
these
should do
on.
that.
Yeah.
I should wear them then. Keep me focused.
Yeah, it would be focused.
No, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, we're gonna wrap up. I do want to say again, thank you so much for coming out here today.
Thanks for having me, man.
And really, I do have to say thank you for like helping me develop as much as
That's
you
what
have.
I do, man. And I appreciate, you're a sponge.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Very absorbent. All right.
Man, thanks.
Likable was filmed and recorded with Radio Free Rhinecliff. Thank you to Jen Hammoud and Matthew Rosenberg, our producers. Thank you to the Epicurean, which hosts us for each episode. Come in, stop and shop, and maybe you'll catch us on the air. Likable is a comedy-based podcast. We are experts in absolutely nothing and should not be taken seriously. Consider this your daily dose of questionable wisdom and guaranteed hilarity, we hope. Mel Hancock, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Woo!